Welcome to the deep dive. Today, well, we're diving deep into Arcade Fire.
Yeah, a band that's sparked so much conversation for years now.
Exactly. And we know many of you have been asking for this one. We've really gone through everything to prepare.
We certainly have the whole discography,
Mhm.
obviously, but also interviews, talking to former crew members, even crunched numbers from a fan poll.
We're not just giving opinions here. The idea is to really unpack their journey, the music, the moments, the controversies too.
Right. We want to understand what shaped them from the very beginning right up to now.
So yeah, whether you've been a fan since Funeral or you're just curious about their story, this should give you a really solid, comprehensive view.
And to really get Arcade Fire, you kind of have to start back in Montreal,
Mm.
the late 90s, early 2000s. That
Mhm.
scene was crucial.
Absolutely. It really set the stage. And you have these interesting foundational elements, right?
Uh-huh.
Win Butler, coming from Texas, Regine Chassagne with her Haitian-Canadian background. That's not just biography, that's embedded in the music from day one.
Totally. Such different perspectives merging. And they met at McGill University, which was, the catalyst.
We've seen some rare early photos, obviously. We can't show you on audio, but they really capture that initial energy.
It's interesting, too, that the lineup wasn't always settled. People came and went before they landed on the group that made Funeral.
Suggests maybe some early creative tension or just finding the right chemistry.
Could be both.
Yeah.
And you can actually hear the seeds of their sound. Even back then, we found this basement recording from 2002, No Cars Go.
Let's hear a bit. Short audio clip of early No Cars Go recording.
Even there, it's rough. But the core idea, the energy, it's there.
Definitely. And we found this quote from someone who saw them all the time in Montreal around 2003.
Oh, yeah. What do they say?
They described this electric atmosphere, like everyone knew they were watching something important happen. Their exact words were, you just felt like you were seeing the beginning of something truly special.
Wow. And that something special really arrived with Funeral, didn't it?
Oh, completely. It wasn't just a successful indie album. It felt like it shifted the whole genre.
It really did. Redefined things, maybe.
Yeah.
Set a new bar for emotional weight and that kind of orchestral sound in indie rock.
And the production stories are fascinating. Like
Mm.
neighborhood #1 tunnels, that glockenspiel part.
Yeah.
Apparently it was just a last minute idea in the studio.
No way. It's
Yeah.
so defining for that track.
Right. And then think about Wake Up, that huge soaring vocal sound.
The choir effect, yeah.
It wasn't a choir. It was just Win and Regine layering their voices over and over. Triple tracking, I think they call it.
Meticulous work. He creates such a rich texture, that fullness.
In Rebellion lies that drum sound.
Yeah.
Instantly recognizable.
Oh, yeah. So powerful, so driving. You heard its influence everywhere after that.
Yeah.
In how bands played, how they recorded drums.
It's incredible how far Funeral's influence reached, really.
Definitely. You
Yeah.
can trace lines to, say, the early stuff from the 1975, maybe even the feel of Taylor Swift's Folklore.
Yeah, that atmospheric quality.
And even soundtracks like Stranger Things. That sort of anthemic nostalgia. It tapped into something.
But here's the thing. Funeral almost didn't happen. Or at least it was a struggle.
Oh,
We came across some audio, apparently unreleased, from a studio argument. Pretty heated.
really? Shows the pressure, I guess. Or the passion.
Yeah, maybe intense friction is sometimes part of creating something that groundbreaking.
So after Funeral comes the Suburbs era. And that's another huge moment.
The 2011 Grammy Win Album of the Year, that was massive, beating major pop stars.
It felt like a huge win for indie music, didn't it? Like validation on the biggest stage.
But it also started this debate, right? Was this their peak? Or was something changing? Were they, I don't know, selling out?
That question definitely came up. Were they staying true to their roots or becoming something bigger, maybe different?
And then came the discussions around the Sprawl 2 period. Their stage shows got more elaborate.
Right. People started asking if they were becoming more like performance artists than just a band.
Mm.
The visuals, the stagecrafts ramped up.
And then the Reflector Tour, the formal wear
Right.
requirement.
Yes, the dress code. That definitely caused some backlash.
Yeah, some fans felt it was pretentious, maybe exclusionary, raised questions about their connection to the audience.
It's interesting, though, behind the scenes during this time, David Bowie was apparently a big supporter.
Really? Bowie?
Yeah, offered them encouragement. Seems he liked artists who push boundaries.
That adds another layer. And speaking of pressure, there's this interview outtake from 2012.
What about it?
Win Butler just looks exhausted. Completely drained. It's a little glimpse, maybe, of what that level of fame costs.
Yeah, the intensity must have been immense. Then, of course, things shifted dramatically in 2022.
Right. The allegations surfaced. Serious ones.
And that became a major turning point. It forced a lot of people, fans, critics, to really re-examine the band and Win Butler specifically.
There were so many complex aspects to unpack afterwards.
Like Regine Chassagn's public silence on the matter. That was interpreted in many different ways.
And the timing with their album W.E., which came out just before the news broke.
Suddenly, those lyrics, themes of community, connection, alienation, they took on a whole different, sometimes uncomfortable meaning for listeners.
It also made things really difficult for fans ethically, didn't it?
Absolutely. How do you square your love for the music with these serious accusations? Even just the act of streaming their songs became a question for some.
We looked at some Spotify data, actually, comparing streams before and after the news broke.
Is there a clear impact?
Well, data like that is complex, but there was a noticeable shift in engagement patterns. It suggests the controversy definitely had a tangible effect.
Which leads back to that really difficult question. Separating the art from the artist.
Especially when the art itself is so focused on themes like community, connection, morality. It gets tangled.
There's no easy answer there, really. It's something each listener has to grapple with.
So looking forward to 2024 and beyond,
Yeah.
What's next? It's uncertain.
One surprising thing from our fan poll, though, a noticeable number of Gen Z listeners actually discovered Arcade Fire after 2022.
That's fascinating. Suggests maybe a different entry point for a younger generation, less weighted by the band's whole history.
Perhaps it opens up different possibilities for their future path. What could that look like?
Well, one idea is what you might call the Radiohead path,
Meaning,
focusing more on experimental work, maybe less concerned with big tours or mainstream hits, more about the core artistic drive and the dedicated fan base.
right, doubling down on the art. Or there's maybe a Fleetwood Mac path.
How do you mean, like internal drama fueling creativity?
Not necessarily drama, but maybe Regine Chassagne stepping forward more, taking a more central creative role, guiding the band in a new direction, perhaps.
That's an interesting thought, a reinvention led by her.
Or, the third possibility, they could become more like cult legends.
Fade back a bit, less output, more mystique.
Exactly. Periods of silence, infrequent releases, letting the existing legacy speak while new work becomes rarer.
We even had some fun sketching out hypothetical concept art for an Arcade Fire 2030 tour.
Just imagining what that might look or feel like, given everything. It sparks the imagination about their future.
And before we wrap this up, we really need to give a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters.
Absolutely. Your support genuinely makes these deep dives possible. The time, the research,
Yeah.
it wouldn't happen without you.
It really highlights how crucial listener support is for this kind of in-depth work.
So we've traced the arc, the beginnings, the breakthrough, the huge success, the recent challenges, and the potential futures.
We really appreciate you sticking with us through this whole exploration. If you've listened this far, you're clearly someone who cares deeply about music and its stories.
And we want to leave you with a question to chew on, something fans debate constantly.
Thinking about their whole career. Funeral, Neon Bible, The Suburbs, Reflector, everything now W.E.
Was Funeral their only perfect album, their undisputed masterpiece? Or do other albums hold that title for you?
Something to think about. And if you found this deep dive interesting, please share it with someone else who might appreciate it.
Spread the word. We'd appreciate that.
And definitely stay tuned because our next deep dive is already in the works. We're tackling the 1975.
Well, that'll be another big one. Lots to unpack there, too. Definitely controversial in its own ways.
So make sure you're subscribed. You won't want to miss it.
For now, though, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep listening to the music that moves you.
Instrumental fade out of Arcade Fire's Deep Blue.